my name is Kerri Nuku. I am the Kaiwhakahaere, or the bicultural leader for our organisation. We are both a union and a professional body that represents the largest group of nurses in the country in Aotearoa. We have 51,000 members. That includes registered nurses, midwives, healthcare assistants, and also students. So when COVID-19 struck our shores, I guess we were kind of in a place where we weren't really prepared, and we relied on the state to be able to provide guidance and reassurance. In the early days, what was coming through from our nurses that were front and centre is lack of preparedness and nurses not feeling safe to go to work and then feeling safe to come home to their families. This became real when nurses were reporting that there was inadequate PPE gear available to them, or it was being under lock and key. And likewise, when they were going home, they were scared that they were going to take some of the virus home to their families. How do they need to prepare? What is the safety that they need to put around them and ensure that their family was safe? And when family members are putting the second car in the garage or making a makeshift tent out in the backyard, then obviously the community is really feeling unsafe. And in New Zealand, we were listening to what was going on overseas, and it hadn't struck our shores at that stage. But what we knew is that we had to be proactive and prepare. We had to rely on the intuitiveness of our members to ensure that we were keeping them safe. As both a union and a professional organisation, we needed to make sure that the message that we were sending to our 51,000 members was one of reassurance, clarity, and that we offered them some safety and protection. The minute that there was inconsistencies with the messages that the ministry was sending out, there was inconsistency in what we were hearing around access to PPE and adequate guidelines, then we took on quite a proactive advocacy role, and that included calling out the government, which was extremely difficult because of our conservative nature, our apolitical kind of stance. And we had to be absolutely clear that we could back every statement that we were making up with evidence from our members. And often our members were in a really compromised position because they wanted to retain their jobs, but speaking out against your employer and speaking out against the messages that were being sent from the Ministry of Health was a challenge for an individual to do. So as part of the leadership of our 51,000 members, we developed quite a robust team, making sure that we were picking up the intelligence from our members, we were responding to media information, and that we were accurate in what we were requesting. And this was about preparing for the future, protecting the now, but preparing for the future. And many people have said that COVID has changed us. Our role is, again, to keep challenging until there is nothing to challenge, until the guidelines reflect what it needs to look like, best practice, till resources are mobilised to be on the front line for nurses to feel safe when they're at work. Bearing in mind that the nursing workforce pre-COVID was already making sounds about being understaffed, under-resourced, underpaid and under-acknowledged. So we've got that on top of having to respond to a sustained response of managing the pandemic and being very front and centre. So what we need to do moving forward is make sure that the voices of nurses are at the table of a redesign, and that we hold the Ministry of Health accountable for not just piecemeal approaches to any breaches or failures, but actually a system of change. Also that we have and ensure that cultural rights are not compromised when we make decisions around best practice and best management moving forward. It's an exciting time, I guess, to be in health, providing that the redesign is listened to, that the people that are at the table are the people that have been affected by COVID-19 and having to respond to it, and that change is driven by need and not by political gains or financial risk